Welcome back to another Forge Refinery recap. This week we're wrapping up Mark with chapter 16. Short chapter, powerful, a lot there. So we'll get right to it. And that means next week we get to start Acts, talking about what the church is supposed to look like, not what we want it to look like. So anyway, chapter 16 is all about the resurrection. And Jesus coming back. And one of the things that, I guess I've never talked about before or really thought about, but we always talk about like the unbelief of the disciples or when the disciples ran away, when Jesus was getting crucified, like they didn't want to get wrapped into it. Peter denies him. But Jesus had told them time and time again, like, this is what's going to happen. This is the plan. But I've definitely never talked about the Marys going up to the tomb and like that showing a level of disbelief. Um, Not disbelief that Jesus wasn't who he said he was, but more of like a lack of this guy's going to resurrect. Like, oh, well, there's no sense going and preparing his body because he's going to, come back, right? So uh, I've just never thought about that before, never put really much attention into it. But like the idea if somebody says, hey, yeah, this is going to happen, and not just one thing, but like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then says, hey, this is going to happen, and I'm going to be back on 3 days. I don't know. I guess you don't go looking for them on day 3 because you expect them to come back because they told you they're going to be back, right? But they're going to prepare his body. They get there, they're frightened, right? The angel's in his tomb, um, and in chapter 7 it says, "Go tell his disciples and Peter." It just always cracks me up, right? Peter is when it opens his mouth on the mount when Jesus is up there um, chatting, and oh yeah, hey, we'll make you tens. He's the one that jumps out the boat and, well, I want to walk on water, and well, surely I won't deny it. And it's like he needs his own invitation. You know what I mean? Um, and it's just, again, we kind of talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, how relatable Peter is to us, and just like his how we kind of get wrapped up in what we want, and our own pride and our own confidence that, like, oh well, surely we'll do this, this, and this. And how go tell the disciples, well, he didn't ask specifically for me, I thought I was special. um, and then at the end of chapter 8, it says, and they said nothing to anyone, and for they were afraid. And I know we talked about this earlier in Mark when they're on the boat and the storm comes and Jesus, quiets the storm, and it says they were afraid after he quiets the storm, and he can even calm the wind and the waves. And it's just it boggles my mind how you see these things that are so powerful, and yet fear is the emotion that um, they go through. Um, I don't know. It's just it'd be one thing if if Jesus was like, now listen, the Romans are gonna come get you, and you're all gonna have to die like I just did. Yeah, I can see a level of fear, um, but just the fear is like what keeps coming up, right? Or uncomfortability, you know. Um, and then um, I'm sorry, verse 11. Um, it says, but when they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they would not believe it. Um, I mean, you already told it was going to happen. She shows up and says, "Hey, it did happen." Like, I don't know. What are you not believing, right? Why are you not believing it? And so then it gets into Jesus. Was walking with the two guys down the road. Um, they don't recognize him. And then it goes straight into the Great Commission. And this is where we kind of camped out for a little bit. Um, and Jesus shows up. They're eating, and he rebukes them. Right? How could you not believe? And I think, you know, for them, I mean, I used to say like, how could they not believe? This is stuff that has never happened before. Um, and I can understand, not recognizing something. Like we were talking today, like if one of the guys there died, I was at their funeral. I saw them breathe their last. We had the ceremony. We put them in the ground, and I saw somebody else walking that looked like them. I'm probably not going to think, oh yeah, that's them. I'm like, man, no, that guy looks a lot like. And even if he started talking to me, like, man, you look like a friend of mine that I just buried. Um, but I think a big part of that is uh, what unbelief do we have that we need to rebuke out and ask Jesus to remove from us? Like, what are we not holding on to? Do we not believe that He's going to take care of us? Do we not believe that all of our needs will be met? Do we rely on our own? What unbelief are we struggling with that's holding us back? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to be rebuked by Jesus when He shows up and be like, "How could you not believe that, man?" Like, and so I don't want that, right? So taking some time, spending time in prayer, and really digging deep into what unbelief am I holding on to, um, and then takes care of that, and uh, he says, "Go into the world, proclaim the gospel to the whole creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned." This is huge, right? A lot of people think, like I see people, oh well, I did this, and those Christians say it was a sin, and I'm not in hell, and it's like, well, one, you haven't died yet, and two, sin isn't what sends you to hell. Because we all sin, man. If you come across a Christian that says I don't sin anymore, they're sinning. They just lied to you, and I would check their heart a little bit. But sin isn't what sends you to hell. It's the unbelief that Christ came and saved us by His blood, right? That He paid the price. Before Jesus came, yeah, sin was what? I mean, unless you did your offerings and all your stuff to help bail you out. Jesus came, He paid it. He paid the price. We get that get out of jail free card, but we have to accept it, right? And you have to accept it before that time comes to get thrown in jail. And if you don't have it in your hand when that time comes, it's too late, right? And so it goes back to the parables of uh, the oil in the lamps and making sure you have your oil and you're ready to go and you don't have to, let me run back. It doesn't work that way, right? And so, if you're not believing, if you haven't accepted it, yeah, you're going to spend eternity in hell. It's not the sin that sent you there. It's the lack of belief in Jesus, right? And then he says, and these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name, they'll be able to cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up serpents with their hands. This is one I'm not going to really test, right? I don't like snakes. Not going to... yeah, hey, there's my unbelief, right, that I'm not holding on to. They can drink deadly poison. It will not hurt them. They will lay their hands on the sick, and they will recover. These verses right here, 17 and 18, are what I hold on to and what is my biggest holdup on the entire world, and even churches that are putting all this effort into what can they do to stop a virus or slow down a virus, man. I try not to get into the things of the world, man. I just try to, but like, man, if I can pick up a snake and I can drink poison and it's not going to faze me, surely uh, a virus that's floating around that I know a ton of people who have had it, like I believe firmly in my heart that, like, me trusting God and His plan and what He has for me and what that virus is going to do to me or what it's not going to do to me is 10 times more powerful than me trusting earthly doctors, scientists, political agendas, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Like they can lay their hands on the sick and they will recover, right? Uh, they did it with lepers. Um, when all this started, wanted to go, but it was like, again, like the whole world would have imploded if I would have walked into a hospital and tried to pray with somebody, because like, heaven forbid, their own family couldn't get in there. They surely wouldn't let me in and pray with nobody. But like that, we're called to do that, right? Like that's what we're supposed to be doing, because if we believe, those are the signs, right, that will come with it, right? Is that type of belief. And so when people ask me, oh well, you're gonna get the vaccine, you're not gonna get the vaccine, like, no, I don't plan on it, right? I'm not gonna get it. Why? Because these verses right here, I'm safe. I'm safe from anything. There ain't nothing on this earth that can keep me from getting into heaven, right? Yeah, I'm going to. It's a 100% chance that I'm going to die on planet Earth, without a doubt. Whether that be cancer, old age, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a 100% chance that's going to happen. But I know where I'm going, right? And so I'm not like, that stuff doesn't phase me. And these verses right here are where I get that. And so when churches start to, you know, push hey, we got to do this because we got to be safe. If we just got in this more, we'd be safe. That's that trust, that's that unbelief, right? And I've had this conversation with grandparents and family members of, well, I have these conditions, and okay, like, but okay, so Jesus will protect me, but because I have this condition, I have to do this now instead. No, you don't. Accompany those who believe. If you believe in Jesus and what He has planned for you, and it doesn't matter, like, everything else is a second thought. Jesus and quarantine, Jesus and X, Y, or Z, right? And but anyway, I don't want to turn this into a big debacle, right? It's just, that's where I get that from. People ask me all the time, and I was waiting to get to these verses to address it. This is where I get that from. I can drink poison and it's not going to phase me. So, like, I'm good, right? I have seen God's protection over my life in so many different areas, from being overseas to being an idiot here in the States, using substances. Like, I should not be here. Definitely not in the position that I'm in to do stuff like this, right? But I am. And it's only because of God's grace and Him protecting me through the bad situations that I've been in. And so I'm not going to allow anything to separate me from that, right? But anyway, moving on. And then after this, Jesus was taken up into heaven and sat at the right hand of God. And they went out and preached everywhere, while the Lord worked with them and confirmed the message by accompanying signs. You notice here, this is something else we talked about. It is not about, and I'm guilty of this, is, well, I'll just show them. I'll show them the love of Jesus, right? I'll show them what that looks like, and tell them, and then accompany it by signs, right? So we're supposed to tell them about it, and then they'll recognize. Man, I know plenty of awesome people that will bend over backwards for you, take their shirt off their back for you, give you their last dime to make sure you're provided for, that are not believers, that don't want anything to do with Christianity, with faith, with nothing. Awesome people, great heart, but that's not what it says. It's those who believe. And so we have to tell them, we can't just live our life and expect everybody knows why we're doing good things or nice things or taking care of people or showing them grace or showing them mercy. We have to preach, give them the word, and then confirm that message by the signs, right? And that's something that I'm not good at, because it's a challenge, man. It's hard to go out there and just talk to random people and be like, hey, let me. And so, even people that are close to me and I spend time with, sometimes it's hard to have that conversation because I know where they stand on a lot of topics and a lot of issues, and they don't want to hear um, this. They're not seeking truth, right? If they came to me and said, "Hey, I want truth. What do you believe?" Boom, right? Uh, but uh, they're not seeking truth. There's a difference between seeking truth and seeking your truth, right? Making this fit what I want to believe, or making me fit into truth. And so, man, it's difficult. It's hard to have that conversation sometimes. A lot of times, I'll say. Um, but we need to. We have to have that conversation, and then our actions will back that message up. If you're having that conversation and your actions aren't backing it up, and your actions are going the other way, you're hurting the kingdom, man. It's hard. It's difficult. And so, get with somebody, talk with somebody. Your actions need to fit that. If your actions are that way, but you're not speaking that way, okay, awesome, man. If we just got you thinking that way and speaking that way, then you wouldn't have any problems. The actions would be there for it. And so that's a little bit about what we talked about today. I will say we have a prayer request that we wanted to kind of push out. We got introduced to a homeless guy today. Really trying to help him get it plugged in. Older gentleman, lost all 10 toes this winter to frostbite. Lost his wife a couple years ago, just really struggling. Knows God, told me today how much he loves Jesus. We went out there after we got done today. But really struggling with acceptance, grief, pity, and just listening to the lies from the enemy, right? And heavy on the bottle, which is never going to help that situation, like not even a little bit. So, yeah, if you guys can pray for him, that we can get him plugged in and get him out of the woods. It's gonna start getting hot. He's not gonna make another winter out there. He's concerned about a raccoon, so just that we can do something with his raccoon, so he doesn't freak out about that. Um, and just that he's willing to surrender, give it up all to Christ. So, if you guys need any prayer, please reach out to us, get a hold of us. We'd love to pray for you. If you can join us Saturdays 9, we'd love to have you join us. Same as always, we get together. We didn't work out today. I was exhausted. Other guy was exhausted. I've been working 12s and 18s, doing security work all week, so I was okay with not working out and going and meeting this guy out in the woods. So, yeah, this is what we got on Mark 16. If you got something you want to add, we're going to start Acts next week. If you're saying, man, I'd really like to go through this book, hit me up before the Saturday comes. But I think Acts is super important because we're seeing a lot of crumbling or deconstruction of true Christianity and what the church is supposed to look like, because churches are trying to appeal to the masses. And so going through Acts hopefully puts into perspective what the church was supposed to look like, what it was meant to look like, not what the world has adapted it to look like. And just, man, Acts has a lot of awesome stuff in it. So please keep our friend in prayer out in the woods. Let us know what you think of chapter 16, and then we're going to start Acts next week. We love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, share this. This might reach somebody. And last thing, just remember, the Great Commandment is different than the Great Commission. Some people get those twisted. They are different. And as of right now, we're going to keep going through books of the Bible. If this turns into a topical thing, I don't want to be hitting on agendas and people think we're taking sides on anything. We're not. Our kingdom isn't of this earth. I'm going to have political stances on things. There's things I disagree with that happen. There's things that I wish people would think differently about. But again, like, this ain't my kingdom. If they don't believe truth and they don't want to believe truth, it's not going to change. So I don't want anybody to ever think we're taking sides on anything, or we're in one camp versus another. We're just going to keep rolling right through the books. If there is something you want us to cover and hear what our opinion is on these things, we'll sit down, we'll discuss them. Hit us up, rob@theforgetc.com, rob@theforgetcfortrainingcenter.com. Get a hold of us, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you share this, subscribe so you get all of our videos from not just the Refinery, but we just had one posted last week from our P-level testing. I got 2 more coming from my man that recorded those for us. If you can believe it, he's only 13 years old. It's wild. But yeah, stay in touch, subscribe, share, and we look forward to having you join us soon. Thanks.